Welcome to Build It Faster. We are your hosts, Mike and Joe. And Josh, are you back here again? Who let you in? I swear we changed the locks. I guess you just had your agent in there and just changed them, to like an MIT licensed, do whatever you want to it kind of a lock, didn't you? Didn't you?
Yeah,
Get
I
rid of
don't,
this
maybe
guy.
I'm a host now too. I don't know. I'm just here to build it faster with y'all. And yeah, how's it
Faster
going?
with Mike, Joe, and Josh.
He's gonna
We'll
spin
see.
off Build It Fastest and leave us in the dust.
I need to check with the team on that. I don't know if we have the capacity for our own
team.
podcast
Ugh.
yet.
The team.
The bit's
I'll
never going to get
over it.
old.
I'll
It's-
never get over it. Ever.
It's not
Ever
a-
will I get over
It's not
it.
a bit. It's just my new pronouns. We they.
It's just my reality, bro.
The royal we. So Josh, what brings you back? I do love having you on the show, of course. We'll
Well,
need to get
yeah.
you an actual key, of course, as well for it. But what brings you back so soon again? It's good to see you so soon.
Yeah, well, you guys offered to hang out with me once a week, and I took advantage of that because I like hanging out with you guys. So that's a start. But yeah, just still plugging away at all the stuff we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, and looking towards releasing some stuff open source. Got some testers coming in. Got some other products looking to announce, and yeah, the ecosystem is growing week by week. We are, for those who are keeping track, the first time we talked a couple weeks ago, during the call hit PR number 222. We are now at just over 1,200 PRs, so we're about 500 PRs a week. We had like 107 one day, and actually that's not even accurate because we were working on a couple other projects today that, another 100 PRs or something like that. So, got to pull those stats together. But yeah, so we're moving fast. I'm still trying to adjust. It's me. I'm still the problem. I'm still the bottleneck. So that's fun.
Can we pull on that thread a little bit? Like
Yeah,
what
sure.
has adjusted?
Yeah.
How
right.
are you adjusting? Like what? Because I'm probably gonna have to suffer through this, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. When I become a big boy. All right. So I want to know what I'm dealing with. What do you mean
Yeah.
adjust?
Help him
Well-
skip some steps.
Yeah. Seriously.
So we are all stepping into the new AI-powered future, as you two are very aware. And yeah, so I just kind of finally got to a really good place, or a couple months ago, where I was doing all this work manually. Right, I had a really fast workflow, manually kind of copying code and context and snippets around where I needed to, getting reviews from CodeRabbit to help me, and that was the bottleneck for me. It was like just being that person, the liaison, right? So I was just like dying for the opportunity to automate those pieces. And, with this discovery of Automake and some of the things I've been doing over the last few weeks, and just some of the general progress in agentic systems, throughout the world, I've been able to automate those things. And so in doing that, it's been awesome. But then also, you're starting to see where those kind of bottlenecks happen. So I think, to illustrate this, did you gentlemen play like SimCity or perhaps like Factorio or any kind of these kind of resource management
Yes.
kind of
Traffic simulators.
system building simulations? Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Everything's going well. Like, cool. I got my industrial district. They're pumping along. We got some residential over here. Oh yeah, they're happy. They got a school to go to, right? And you got all this stuff going, and maybe you play one or two times. You're like, I know how to do this stuff real quick. You're boom, boom, putting it out. And then you get to that stage of the game where you haven't really quite been to it. It ain't quite planned out. Now all your traffic's backed up and trash is piling up because your sanitation services aren't quite working well, and then, there's more crime, all this stuff. And now you're like, oh, I didn't account for that. And so now you have to restructure everything to kind of try to like make this work. And, for me, a lot of times I say, screw it. And I start over, right? So I start over and I'm like, all right, I'm going to be ready for that. That crime's not going to get me. They're not going to be piling trash on me this time, right? I'm going to get there. And so then you get to that part. And you're like, cool, sweet, no more trash, right? And then you get the next step and you're like, crap, the other thing, right? And so the beauty of AI for me, and why I see so much power in it, is we are now at a time where we can kind of explore all those different paths really quickly, right? And so I think one thing people really need to get over is the idea of the sunken cost fallacy with like the code or project that they've created, right? It used to be that you spend months handcrafting this code and digging through all the docs and you're making it perfect, right? Figuring all the patterns and, and then someone come along and go, oh, well, you could do it this way. And you go, no, I just spent months handcrafting this. It's perfect. I know it in and out. Yeah, I know where all the skeletons are. You're like, that's fine. We'll get to that next quarter, But now we're at a time where it doesn't matter. That code was so cheap. Throw it away, right? I've now burnt down and rebuilt so many projects over the last 7 months. And man, it feels better every time because I go, cool. Once that trash starts piling up, I'll be ready for it, right? So anyways, but we got to that part, and now I'm on to the harder part of the game where the things are starting to pile up that I didn't account for. And so now I'm having to, kind of regroup and kind of jump around to some of these pieces. But the fortunate thing is now the foundation, that city, is stable enough, and I've built it enough times that I know that I can add to it modularly and not impact the rest of the ecosystem, and that's really kind of that big thing. So yeah, it's administrative stuff. It's dashboard diving. I need to set up a lot of accounts, API keys, review review different kinds of content, reach out to some more people, get some more testers in, right? Basically, they're telling me to step away from the code because they got it and quit throwing them ideas and go work on all other stuff. Because now I've got, on my overview, I've got this block section. It's glowing yellow. And I click on it, and they're all blocked because of Josh. And I've got this new thing I put in. It's not fully effective, but now they're tracking it. And basically, there's an escalation path. If they're stuck on stuff because I'm just taking too long, they're gonna start pinging me aggressively. So yeah, welcome to the new world. I currently am architect, and QA is my main title. I'm working on slowly automating that stuff away, and then I don't know. Maybe I'll be the person who goes and gets the coffee. But AI doesn't drink coffee, so I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. But we'll see what happens when we get there.
Dude, I love the analogy so much. And it sounds like, is that really the main pile that you're dealing with right now? Is the Josh needs to take action here pile?
Yeah, so there's things like that, and then there's just different rate limits. So I'm having CodeRabbit do all my reviewing, but that's only, I'm only able to do 8 reviews an hour before I hit rate limits there, and then it kind of cools down. So that's been a rate limit. And then just some of the kind of boring CI stuff, where basically I've only got so much compute allotted to run these processes through CI, and I got pretty intensive CI, a lot of testing and things like that. And so all these agents are working on their own work trees and, working with these runners. So I just need to kind of work on that capacity. And part of that is because I just started doing too much, right? It's funny because usually you're stop making features. We got a code freeze, we got to stop, but I have to make more features. I need to be able to throw a big enough project to the system to see how it works through it, right? And that's how I'm improving it, because I'm throwing these big systems, and I had 2 panels each running for 3 hours yesterday doing their own jobs, right? And so I'm watching it and keeping an eye on things coming back. And we talked about, last couple of times, the idea of this desire path, right? This kind of happy trail where it's just seeing these tools enough times, or seeing where they're airing out and going, hey, no, look at this, and let's improve it, right? And I'm working on automating that. We've got some retros and stuff that happen now and kind of feedback the system of bugs, but I'm refining that a little bit better so they just have more information to work with. So I guess that's where I come in as a QA person still, right? I'm hey, nope, that's not quite right. Let's just trying to keep them in line, and that's really the future we're moving towards. Is these systems are way faster and smarter than us, and it's about how do we control that energy and shift it towards a positive outcome.
I had a thought and a question, Josh, for you. Tell me if I'm mischaracterizing, but the way that I see what we've talked about so far with this project is kind of it's meta in the sense that you're using the system to improve itself, right? Is that accurate enough to say? Okay, fair.
Yeah, it's a self-improving system, I think that's what they call it.
Right. Yeah, okay. And to this point, it's the target project of the system is itself currently, at least up to this point. And it's interesting. I think that your end goal, obviously, is to have this system be used by other people to target other projects, obviously, other projects than itself. And I think that's a good kind of test case for you. I'm curious if you have tried to throw anything but itself at it. Hey, cut a release or whatever that might look like, or I guess you're just continually releasing. I don't know that you necessarily need to have a version that you try it on, but it's have you thrown a project at it that isn't itself to see how it handles it? Even something small build me a calculator, whatever. What can you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, very much. So, we're at 1,200 PRs here, but we've put out, over 100 PRs in one project, and I don't know, probably close to 100 PRs in other projects.
Cool.
Yeah, so the end goal is not, I'm getting this project out to people who can use it, right? I'm not trying to make the project that I can take in an enterprise and say, hey, CEO, type this in and you're going to get it out. Like, I'm building a tool that's allowed me to build other things faster. And I'm going to release the methodologies to share with people, but I'm not selling this as a tool. I've got some other apps and things in mind that I want to kind of pump out, but you're going to see me starting to pump out app after app after app, and they're all going to be stable and like, well thought through because of the system. So the system building itself is one thing, but yeah, no, I've got other projects I'm working on. And so, Friday I'm releasing this open source. We've got Joe and some other testers kind of helping me out with some early bugs, and then getting in there, and I'm slowly working on getting it kind of brought out from the dev team more to project managers and things like that. So last week, Mike, we talked about the idea of being able to point it at a code base and backlog and stuff, and kind of trying to get some and so we have the setup lab command, and it'll be a full CLI tool, but basically you can run setup lab and point to a GitHub repo or a URL, and then go in and run test and see how compatible it is with our system. It'll offer advice and ways to kind of align it. And then, if you have a linear board, you can point at it and, take a look at all those tickets and try to organize it. And
I love that you're saying it'll take a look at your system and let it know whether or not, whether or not it's a good fit. Right?
It's sending like deep researchers and stuff like that
for you as well.
So for instance, I set up Ofer, our friend Ofer, the other day. I got him set up and threw one of his projects at it, right? And I said, hey, run setup labs. And then, a few minutes later, it came back with a report, and it was, telling where it aligned, and then it was saying it doesn't use Express server, but it actually is more stable for production because it uses the Hono, server setup, right? And Ofer was like, oh, that's kind of a nice little ego boost, basically saying that his system was more prepared than we had, intended or whatever. So, and then now I've, over the last week, I've started throwing a lot of tickets up. The different agents are throwing tickets in as they're starting to report their own bugs and things like that. So we got a lot going on. So basically, and I'll get started right now, but I was going to have Ava look at the linear board and just try to organize it and see what kind of insights we can get. But no, I mean, it's fully prepared for that, right? The beauty of these systems is it's not like I'm basically working backwards, right? Like, give the agent all these tools, the idea of the desire path, give them all these tools. Like, it can do anything with this system it wants, right? But it's about scoping that and making sure that only the agents have the tools, certain agents have the tools that they need for their domain and things like that, right? Yeah, I mean, it's capable of doing so much. It can read your full file system. I mean, this thing has full control over your system, We'll get you set up with a playground and stuff like that when we get you set up, Mike, so you don't have to worry about that.
Joe knows all about dumbing things down for me. Real nice.
It's there. I've got a design system I'm releasing.
Yeah.
I've got a design system I'm releasing for a full... it's a whole 16-bit inspired design system called glyphkit.design. That's live right now. And that would be powering the Mythics engine AI-powered tabletop RPG generator, which we'll be showing more about this next week. And they're also working on SVG Val, which is my LLM to SVG evaluation platform. So it'll be evaluating how it can output SVG for icons, layouts, different kinds of things like that. But yeah, so I'm proving the system works by I don't have an exact date, but by the time this announces, this releases, I'll have announced it. But yeah, I'm looking to do a full product hunt launch. And not only am I looking to do a full product hunt launch, in 45 days, as a solo developer, I'm going to launch 3 products in 1 week on Product Hunt. You're going to see a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday launch by one developer leveraging the system that I built along with the system that I built. And
I love the meta nature of this whole project, because it's part of the flex of launching a product like this on Product Hunt is to follow it up with several more products that you've used this system to build. I think that's a brilliant strategy. That's fun.
That's the goal. So, I mean, I think through that, I could get some, some interest generated. I don't know if anyone's done that, right? I don't know if a solo person has launched more than one product in a given week on Product Hunt. So I'm going to reach out and explore that, and got some other kind of avenues I'm looking at to kind of build a hype. But at this point, I'm just trying to build the platform, right? I have the ideas, I can create the stuff, and I don't necessarily care if the world doesn't adopt this. But, I've been telling people a lot for many years kind of how these systems are coming together, and they are finally coming together that way. And I just want people to work faster. I want to build cool stuff and allow people to build faster. That's where I'm at.
So Josh, you didn't release last week. You are going to release this week. Not that you plan to. It's just what does done look like, and why now? If we haven't already covered that, like why are you finally maybe satisfied with it? Because I will point out, you reached out to me as an alpha tester. I haven't given you much feedback yet, but you know that's an interesting milestone. Can you
Yeah.
just talk to me about what good enough or ready looks like and how you arrived at the not specifically that date, but the
Yeah,
scope
yeah.
being sufficient that you can launch it?
Right. Well, I mean, the Automaker crew handed over a pretty stable project, right? It wasn't, there was a lot kind of there ready for release. And then I just took it and threw my own ideas in it and, kind of Frankensteined it, and worked around some other things. So, I mean, it's all the work here is the last 10%, right? It's like the last mile of just kind of cleaning it up. And so as far as like what is done, I don't know. This is going to be an always evolving project, right? But I want to get it out there and have more people start to mess with it. This is also going to make it easier for things like installing the plugin and just have more people use it, right? If it's not private. And also, I mean, I'm just excited for other people to start getting a hold of it and seeing how they adapt it to their workflows. Because this is not like a project I want to have like open source and people are just contributing directly back to it. Like, there's going to be a contribution model, but it's essentially going to be a discussion and an idea system where the agents decide if it's worthwhile for the system based on the discussion, all those things like that.
I'm sorry, hold on. The agents are going to take it under consideration. Is this going to be a signal? Actually, this is specifically the thread I want to pull. Two questions. One, haha, I'm sorry, are you saying that it's not even going to be up to you? It's going to be like, listen, if you can excite the agents, all right, and you're not Pliny, don't somehow you have to get them away from here. If you can convince the agents, this is actually kind of a co-op, and they'll take it under consideration. And two, after you answer that, can you talk more about Signal? Because I don't think I understood it in the terms I do now since our last pod. Like, you said more about it, and it finally clicked for me. So I'd like you to, even if you repeat yourself, cover what Signal is.
Yeah, let me.
But so the agents are in charge of the project. Like, you don't even be like, oh, here's my PR. It's like, no, you can, if you have a good enough idea, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, we're still working out the contribution model, and I have to pull it up. We were working on it pretty late last night, so I haven't had full time to like review it. But yeah, essentially the idea is it'll be like an idea system where there's a discussion around it. And my hope, I don't know if this is going to be released or if it's just an idea, but the idea would be that like you as someone running the instance can optionally have it communicate with the discussion board with the ProMaker, and all this stuff would be isolated. It wouldn't be run on the same system. So basically what we spent yesterday doing was building a whole quarantine system. So those ideas, before they even get to like the team or anything, goes through a whole quarantine process. It's checking for prompt injection. It'll check if there's files and stuff like that. It'll do a whole bunch of security scanning on there, and so it has a whole process to go through before it's even like gets near the system, right? So you need that isolation, right? It's like, I'm not chancing that you're just not going to get through my home lab, through your prompt injection. But yeah, so I mean, ultimately, yeah, it's just a different signal, right? And that's part of the reason why I want to get it out there is because I want this to be a community-grown project. I'm not necessarily trying to solve this problem for the world. I'm trying to solve it for myself, and I'm trying to, like, in doing so, show others how I've come to work. And, it's not going to work for everybody. Like, my brain works a pretty specific way at this point to make all this happen. I'm running off, like, instinct and just, like, knowledge of a decade of building products, right? So everyone's going to have to kind of figure it out for themselves. But, much like I took it from the Automaker folks and Frankenstein into something I wanted to build, like, that's what I want to see from other people. And so I'm working on, like, different kinds of plugin systems and trying to make it really, like, extensible for the community. But yeah, I mean, as far as the Signal stuff, I haven't spent a whole lot of time thinking of that at this point. But yeah, I mean, essentially, a signal can come from anywhere, right? Like, you think of us as humans, we're constantly bombarded by signals at all times, and it's our job to filter through those signals and decide what's good or bad, right? Whether it's something we're consuming or listening or watching or breathing, whatever, right? Unfortunately, with like programming these systems, you have a lot more control over those signals, right? We're just bombarded by so much radio waves, even, right? Just so many things that we can't even see. And And so with these systems, we define those inputs and outputs. But basically what I'm looking to do is like open up this signal input as wide as possible, where these signals can be coming from Discord or Linear or the GitHub discussions or a Twitch stream. And those get thrown in the system as a signal and decide what to do with that. You know, what happens if a user just throws in a URL to a GitHub repo without any kind of context? What do we do with that, right? What does that mean, right? So we take it to a triage, and in part of this triage, depending on the signal input, it's going to go through quarantine and all that stuff. But yeah, so then it goes to triage, decides where it needs to be routed. Is this a research request? Is this a design request? Is this a content strategy request? Like, who does this go to, right? And then that gets directed to the, whoever it needs to be. And then within that, there are gates. There are gates in the system that act as, or just human in the loop steps, right? And depending on the trust levels, you can set these gates to be on or off, right? And so, for instance, I could put an idea. And so when the first gate is clarification, right? It's like, I put in a URL, GitHub URL. Hi, Josh, I see this GitHub URL. I don't know what you want me to do with this. It looks like, it looks like a Club Penguin clone. I don't know what you're trying to do, right?
I just imagine the CEO just linking me a GitHub repo, and I'd be like,
right?
oh my God, what does this guy want me to do?
What do you want me to do, boss?
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
What's funny to me about that as well was, and I'll let you continue pulling the thread, was like, if he sent that to me and I was like, what? And he never got back to me, it would not turn into code. Like signals aren't going to necessarily yield, an output, which is what really was starting to get to me.
Well, here,
but I'm sorry,
I gotta jump in too. I gotta add too, because before this, Joe, when you said like, oh, there's signal, it clicked for me. I was like, bro, I thought it was pretty clear last time. All right, I don't know why, but I literally just in this moment, it also clicked for me. And I wrote it down in our notes. Josh, the way that I'm seeing this is like traditionally you have inputs and outputs, right? And so you're like, you expect a human or something to put even maybe some external software to give an input, and then that input pretty much implies an output of some kind. And in this case, signals are more like stimuli. Like it may invoke a reaction. It may cause some kind of output or outcome, but really you have these agents open to stimuli, and that stimuli may come directly from you. It may come from some external system. It may come from some other person or some other outcome or result that is detected. Is that a fair characterization?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, just as Joe said, he gets a message in Slack from a CEO. That's a signal, right? He gets an email that says, hey, Joe, this is your CEO. I really need you to go buy some gift cards from Best Buy and send them to this address. What do you do with that signal? Sounds like that might be a scam. Maybe you should put that in quarantine, right? Like, it's literally, I mean, as I said, I mean, this is all about inputs and outputs, right? Like, us as primal beings are all about the energy we input and the trash we output, right? Like, and that's really at the core, and that's all these systems want, right? It's like all you want from your boss or your team is the best context and information and tools in order to, solve what they're asking you to do, right? And so we're going to see if this works. Let me go and refresh it. So, yeah, we're looking at
it. It's more complex this time.
It's a little busier this time. My goodness. Yeah, we have like half a thing.
The city has grown.
Disabled boxes.
The city has grown. Yes. There is some trash getting piled up in some places, but we'll get there. So yeah, I mean, it was more of a kind of visual aesthetic. Last week there was some functionality, but yeah, so we kind of started breaking it down. We're actually seeing the full flow. My idea is observability as UX, right? And so you should know what your system's doing just by looking at the overview, right? Most people think of AI as a black box. Mine is the UX, right? So, for instance, let's go ahead. So you're asking about signals, Mike. Let's take a look. So, we're able to kind of come in here and interact with the system. So, we've got our signal open. I grab this random GitHub repo for my stars, and we're just going to submit. No context, no anything. We'll see what happens. It should. So it comes through here, and we have our research. So it's going to take a look at this, and I've given it a human in loop tool. So it's going to produce, and we'll see if the demo god smiled upon us. But if they do, it's got basically a JSON schema form creator. So it can create any form it needs to gain the information that it wants to clarify this question. And then I've got some stuff on the way to make this feedback a little bit better, because there's some things going on under the hood right now that we're not seeing. But then, yeah, the idea is that as you come through here, you can see the projects as they're kind of broken down by the decomposition service. That sounds kind of morbid. The project manager kind of breaks down the projects into milestones and epics.
Composition service.
And so yeah,
That's what we call our police force.
Oh boy. And so yeah, and then we have our actual project flow, right? So we've got our backlogs, and as you can see here, this is like the signal input, right? It knows those came from linear. That's all we have in here right now, but it'll come from the agent, it'll come from Discord, it'll come from the different sources. You'll see actually if this makes it through the pipeline, we just had a stage, so it probably popped it. But
what's a stage? What's that?
So this is staging environment, and we're live. We're doing code right now, so it's deploying as we're talking. So it's just going to go down for a second.
He's not demoing on
the team's not quitting
QA
working
environment.
while you're
He's
yeah.
does it because you could have two just for this. That's great. I'm sorry,
we got work
already?
going.
I love that. That's actually cooler than if you had a stable environment.
Yeah, so I actually
they just successfully deployed an update. Sorry, let's continue. That's so cool.
Continue.
Please continue.
Well, see, that's what I spent so much of the last few weeks doing, stabilizing this so it could recover from that, right? It had agents in the middle of work right there, and so now it's in the process of looking through where their work was in those work trees and updating it, and making sure it's like back in the backlog and recovering. Like there's a bunch of stuff happening right now under the hood. And that's the thing, is most people aren't going to have to deal with that because they're not working on the system live while it's like working on itself, right? But what that means is that's super, super resilient to crashes or whatever. So yes, we lost that, unfortunately. Maybe it popped up in here. Yeah, here we go. I don't think it's going to pop up, but I've got a full inbox. So we can now miss human in a loop gates. And yeah, I don't have this fully. This is still kind of a work in progress. But the idea is that you can miss human in loop gates, come in here and go, oh yeah, that was escalated. Let me clear that and pass it through. And then there's certain, depending on severity and stuff, you can have it set so after 10 seconds or whatever, it just defaults to having an agent triage it, right? So there's some of that stuff there. That's really unfortunate. Let me see. I'm sure it'll crash again, but let's go ahead and try again, because this is really, really cool when you see it, because it'll say it decides whether or not it needs to search the web or it has enough information in the code base. And then from there, it'll create a PRD that you can approve or edit. And then from there, it breaks down the into projects, milestones, and features with all the dependencies. And then at that point, you can approve it again or deny it, and then send it off through the flow. And at that point, you're pretty much hands off until the work is merged and you're ready to go. Provided there's no hiccups in the system. But every day it gets more reliable, and I'm having to find larger and larger projects to throw at it just so I can test it, right? Because I had 3 panels yesterday, each running at 2 hours. And so I'm sitting here trying to find other stuff to do in the meantime.
What was the repo that you gave it?
This is something called Moonshine. It's automatic speech. Oh yeah, I was going to say, I think I posted this in Peopleware, but yeah, this is an open source toolkit for real-time voice applications.
And what do you hypothesize the response will be to
I'm
the URL
guessing they're going
to
to see that. They're probably going to research and see that we have some voice stuff, some basic voice interaction in play, and it'll probably ask if we want to research replacing it. And that's my guess off the top of my head, but we'll find out if
so
it
you
even,
do already
have
back. Some voice control.
Yeah, but it's one of that's one of those threads that I need to go back and tie up. I've got several kind of little features in flight that I just need to kind of go back and be buttoned up and have certain things wired. So that's part of I need something to throw at it, right? I've got tokens I need to burn this week, so I just throw a job at it and let it go. And
so the expectation then would be something like it's gonna look at what's going on in that repo, and it's gonna be like, okay, this is a voice control software. And then it's going to think about itself a bit. It's going to reflect and be like, do I have any voice control software? I do have some voice control software. And then kind of bring the topic back to you as hey, so I see you got me looking at this voice control stuff. I see that we have some voice control. Do you want to replace it? Are you trying to make it more like that? I mean, where do you want to go with this?
And that's exactly.
I did want to jump as well and say, one, Mike, earlier about you being oh, now I get signal. That was the big thing for me. And now I'm as well rethinking this further. Oh, you gave it this signal, and it's using the context from its other stimuli, right? Its access to the world state, okay, to put it in context. Why did he send this to me? Can be answered from the context in large part. I mean, surely if you have some unrevealed intent, you need to offer that in the gate or whatever, but the word signal comes back again from stimuli, from world state. Like, in our current context, how could this apply? Then you work on it.
And that's the thing, is I know better than to do that, right? What I just did. Like, that's, I, as a user of the system, as a communicator with other humans, I know that sending somebody a random link with no context, especially if it was completely, I mean, if I just sent that to Joe without any context, he'd understand, just because he has that context of our relationship and things we talk about, right? And so in some ways, that's the same as a system. It's like, it's going to look at the system and go, oh, this system is all about agentic AI, and, and see how it can incorporate that into the system, and probably start looking at like real-time voice or whatever, right? And that's part of the fun, and I don't, we need to get when the age is flowing, but I mean, all those tool calls and stuff are logged, right? You get to go through and watch. And so I'm still working mostly through the CLI. Like, I'm bringing everything over to the UI and getting those flows kind of mapped in. But all the stuff I'm kind of trying to demonstrate in the UI right now works in the terminal. It's more just about getting the data in the right places and get all the state management, all the annoying stuff of web development to get the UI to respond, right? But the logic is there and it's working. And so that's what I'm wrapping up this week. So then Friday I can start recording demos and things like that. So by the time this is released, we'll have like a link to a full demo somewhere in the show notes. But yeah, so I don't think it's going to work today, but essentially, yeah. So looking at, these are just different kinds of escalations. You see, these are like stale gates, right? And it's just like, there's some auto mode stuff that's happening to like, basically, I've got like
this morning
things going.
This morning I had a director ask if an engineer could hop on a demo call, and the engineer was like, "Sorry, boss, I'm like really busy right now. I'm heads down on this thing, and it's got like pretty tight deadlines. And can't hop in demo." And they're like, "It's okay, we'll figure it out." And it's just funny that your team's just it's busy right now. They're like, "Sorry, boss."
Sorry, guy. Yeah, right. Yeah, sorry. Didn't even. It's fine. I didn't give them a code freeze order, right? They didn't know I was demoing.
Like, dude, I'm literally in the middle of my workday right now. You're asking me to hop in a demo for you right now. Like, you gotta give me a heads up.
Why are I asking them to drop everything they're doing to make some stupid feature they didn't want to make? So they're already kind of pissed at me. So, but so we've got maintenance schedulers that are kind of on a loop to do some of the cleaning, and there's so many different angles you can come in to resolve those signals or handle them. But as I was saying, it's like you can open up ChatGPT and say, hey, build me a blog site, right? And it could do it, but it's not going to look that great, and it's probably not going to work that well. But you're going to be a lot better off pointing it to a template that's already built with all the proper tooling and things like that, right? And proper framework, and start from there, right? And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm not saying, hey, build me this app. I'm saying, or what I'm doing there is basically saying, hey, build this app without any context. What I should do is hand it over, build this app, and these are all the restrictions and requirements I expect you to follow, right? And you're going to end up with a much better result there. It's like, one, they're both going to end up with a similar result, perhaps, but you're going to be much happier with the other, if you've given that extra context. Or you're going to spend a lot of time explaining yourself as the forms keep popping up because you're giving less and less information, so... But it's there. If you want to play that game with AI, you can. You can see how far you can test their patience.
In SimCity, you have like your population like happiness map, and you can just see how everybody's doing. You got your green smileys and like your yellow whatever faces and your mad I'm unhappy faces. And I love how you said a moment ago, like, oh, the team's pissed at me. I envisioned like this future where you have your whole map of all your agents, and like some of them are pretty happy, but some are kind of pissed, and you click into it to figure out why they're mad. They're like, well, I'm getting way too many signals all the time. I feel like I'm never finishing my work before I'm getting other signals and asked to do more. And I'm just feeling like, stretched too thin and overworked right now. I feel like you're on that path. I think you're definitely, if not there in many ways.
Totally. I mean, I'm gonna have to code in the, like the full like emotional side. I've thought about giving them a channel where they think they're not being watched and they can talk crap about me all they want, and it's channel. like every like employee's nightmare they see is just watching the back channel.
Right.
But because, obviously beyond that, these are systems and there are metrics and things that we're gathering to to watch for these things. So for instance, here we've got our system stats, right? And I need to go through and really spend some time in this whole area to get more helpful information. But with these stats, I know that this instance is at 30%, 32% capacity for RAM and these things. So with this data now, you can get those reports, right? I mean, it's just they're going to tell you, right? They're not going to be just burning themselves out, dragging themselves through the day, drinking pints under the desk to like get through. I mean, maybe they are. I could program that in. That might be a fun thing.
Why did you program them to feel pain?
Yeah, right. I've been watching a lot of Battlestar Galactica recently with the wife, and there's just so many weird things that align with the way the world's going and what I'm working on. But we'll get there next time. But yeah, so I mean, with all that, it's about measuring the capacity and the bandwidth. As I saw last night, I tried to have three things going, and next thing you know, I had 10 PRs backed up because CodeRabbit wasn't reviewing because of checks. GitHubs were getting back, or my runners were getting backed up because all the working flights. So I was like, okay, let's let all this settle, and then I'm not doing that again until I've got more capacity. So it's just that's me just running off instinct, but soon that stuff's going to be all encodified and metric based, and like any good org should be, right? And then we are able to scale or downsize depending on that. And I'm hoping we're not gonna have any layoffs soon. I think we're moving on up. So we'll see what happens.
Keep the team.
I mean, maybe me. I'm gonna be one of these laid off. I'm the only one who needs to catch up. They're waiting for me right now. You see this yellow flashing? That's all stuff they're waiting on for me. This is all.
Well, tell us about that. I want to see these things. Okay.
This is all just marketing stuff, like getting just kind of just basically all this stuff I need to verify. Like, sure, I could have them write some of these blogs and readmes for me, but that's the part I still want to be involved in. So it's things like that, just like different kinds of tests. And you can actually see these shouldn't be in here, but they're showing me that they actually did try to work on it. And I actually had to make a separation of GTM concerns because when I put in a bunch of GTM work, and next thing you know, I was looking at this blocked, and they had spent is that one? Oh no. There's one where they had spent $9 just trying to do stuff they couldn't do. They had no access to these things. And at that point I switched from Haiku to my base model Sonnet. But yeah, it's these little things that really just, I love. It's so, to me, it's so much like playing a video game. I drag myself out of bed because I open my eyes way too early because I didn't get to sleep, early enough the night before, but then I can't get back to sleep because I'm just my brain's thinking, and I'm like, I need to make sure my team's got work going, right?
Check on the team.
And
dude, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm like, oh my god, I should go to sleep. In fact, I have enough time, to get a full cycle in. I think it's 60-ish minutes or 70 minutes or something. Is or maybe is it 90? I don't know. It's a full cycle for sure. All right, I got enough time,
right.
And I should, but
See, but you
I'm
also have a
get
kid,
up and just work
so
on this just a little bit, just to try to get it just a little. It's too much. There's a whole. If you had access to a product like this, you might. I don't know if you're as much of a builder necessarily, but you imagine there were birds just all over the place, and
The sad thing is they are. The morning is the perfect time for the birds, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough. It is tough to make myself.
Yeah, I mean, so
have you? Well, finish your point, and then I got a question.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, I mean, yeah, this is still very much dev focused because that's where I come from. But again, my hope is to get this usable by other people in the product space, right? I've got a UX person coming in to kind of play around with it, right? Mike, I want to get you set up. Maybe Joe and you can get that set up before next time we chat, right? And play around, but.
We should connect this to instant coffee somehow. If I can find a way to stuff dollars into the budget for a sub, I would point this at instant coffee. That could be fun.
But what is the paying for a sub? What do you mean by that?
Oh, at least $20 a month to plug power into. Is this Proto Maker now?
I mean, yeah, the whole thing is like ProLab Studio. I'm keeping the repo in Protomaker just as far as keeping kind of that lineage with Automaker and things like that. But the whole
you're saying you got to pay for access to some model, in order to
if you're actually going to use this for real, it's not going to be on my 3090.
Right. Okay.
It's set up to do open models, but the only reason I'm getting this speed is because I inherently trust every portion of this system, right? I've built it in such a way that I know that if it's gotten to production, it's gotten through a lot. It's gone through a freaking, what do you call it, gauntlet, right? Like it's had it, like it's gotten beat to crap before it got there, and like if there's anything wrong with it, it's not going to be like functional. It just like might not be finished or might need a little cleanup or whatever, but it's running in the system. And so, anyways, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna promise that I release this and everyone's gonna get a hold of it and like they're gonna be knocking out 100 PRs a day, because first off, I don't necessarily work human hours, and second of all, this is again just building off a lot of experience of mine over the last few years, right, and just knowledge that I have throughout all these different kinds of domains. So, but that's what I want to do is release this and then just show people my workflows and try to teach people and see what they can latch onto and just see how it works for them, right? And that's my goal. Like, yeah, again, I'm not trying to solve enterprise problems. I'm not trying to make CEOs able to get rid of more people. I want us as people who understand these systems to be able to do more and maybe replace CEOs,
I remember my question. Have you ever fed a product feature page in as a signal where you go, ooh, let's add that to our system, and you just give it just another product as an
all
input?
the time. So this is kind of like I need to get some more branding stuff, but I mean I'm thinking like Pac-Man just like consuming everything, right? So yes, I've done that. That's like the whole idea, is that I can point signals to it and it can consume it. So a couple of examples this week is there was a white paper that came out, a research paper on AI and specifically agents that came out a few nights ago, and it was all about this idea of having to the idea that agents running loose is not a valid way to run agents, and that they need control and spec and essentially what I'm building, right? And I was like, okay, well, let's feed it in and have it compare it to our system and see if we can garner any insights. And yeah, I fed it through and it said, yeah, we're doing this, that, and the other thing, but these are some areas where we can improve. And so then I had a 3-hour sprint where it was just putting together work and updating it based off that. Last night, I went and checked the Automaker repo, the one we forked off, to see where they're at, and they're releasing they got a big release candidate, NPR, and we've diverged quite a bit from the original fork, so it's not, we're not going to be able to take everything in, but no, I pointed at a full PR and I said, analyze this and see what you can pull in from the work here and how it makes sense. And now we've got another 4 hours of work from that, and we're getting a full code editor and a whole bunch of cool stuff in the app now. And so yeah, it's just, see, you pointed it at pencil.dev, the full AI to design system. And yeah, while that's not open source code, apparently there's several attempts at reverse engineering it, and I don't have it to show you yet, but yeah, basically we have it set up so you can load pen files and drag and drop block editors and things like that. So it's actually it's going to be a content management system on top of pencil.dev. And so my plan is to be able to, all my current marketing sites that I have just as static HTML, that I'll actually be able to build in the editor. So yeah, I'm just adding things as I want. This is the tool system that I've wanted for years and been working towards. So yeah, that's why when this came out, I was just ready to go, and I'm ready to show everybody how to use it. And so yeah, that's why I want to get out Friday. Just I think a lot of people are converging onto this same idea and methodology around these systems. So I just want a little head start, and try to get out there before the Googles and Cloudflares of the world release the much cooler versions, because they have a much deeper pockets and much bigger GPUs.
Well, that's great. One thing you had mentioned about divergence, it's interesting. You don't need to rebase anymore. You don't need to cherry pick anymore. Now you can just say, go work out the world state and the difference between this and that as specification, and then go render the parts that we want to keep. Signal. I still love Signal. I don't think I've even fully internalized the Signal concept quite yet. There's probably a couple more implications. But you can feed in, I don't even need the exact code. You can rewind it. Stem cell actually might even be the right metaphor here. You take a normal cell and you can rewind it to a stem cell, and then put it where it goes, and it will adapt into its position. Feeling pretty good about that metaphor, actually.
I like it.
Right? Because it's interesting because it doesn't cost you anything to take risks with forking. You're not going to get split brain. You can have whatever you want. I was even arguing with somebody at work today. They were like, oh, well, I don't want to be locked in. What you're doing is very, very AWS specific. And it's like, that used to be a fair thing to think.
Right.
If we regret it, I will have it rewritten on whatever you can think of the next day, like literally probably tomorrow, actually. So, the economics around how much it costs to realize something, pivot, return, find the gap, apply what you want. Like, have you ever seen The Last Airbender?
Bits and pieces.
Well, you know about that they can move the water around, and they can move the air, and they can do the stuff with the earth and the fire,
I know
right?
that
They
much.
can move it around, all right?
Benders,
Just
the
moving it around.
benders.
I'm giving a presentation tomorrow on agentic engineering, and I've got a whole section called context bending, all right? Where you're
Boom.
just like, you pull it in from GitHub, and you push it over there, and you split it this way, and you only use that part. Like, you can see it, right?
Right. No, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And I think, yeah, I mean, you're spot on. I think the organizations and teams that are going to succeed in this next era are the ones who realize that and realize that completely pivoting is an option now, right? And I think we're going to see a lot of the people stuck in their old ways and moving slowly have a real tough time in this coming age, right? Obviously, you got the big players who have enough money to weather whatever storms, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what those middle ground players do as the squeeze starts coming together.
As someone in one of the big companies, I'm looking forward to taking what you've built and putting it into our infrastructure to also take advantage as much as I can. So
I'm really
see how that
excited to
goes.
see that. Because yeah, I mean, right now a lot of this is the ideas. It's for me as a solo developer, so I'm excited to see kind of how you take it and apply it to more humans on a team, and yeah, see what we can make out of it. And yeah, Mike, let's plan. I think you're out next week or something, right? But let's plan to hang out, and I can show you how to set it up, and we can jam, and you can start getting some testing and input.
I'd love to get Mike in on this, yeah, because the thing is, and I want to hear from him on this a little bit though, is Mike's an engineer's PM, all right? He's a real engineer's PM, okay? And so if you're looking for anybody to be talking on that side of the aisle, it's this guy right here, because he'll be able to show you what's accessible, what's useful, what is in need of a little bit of flow engineering, all right? Because you also got a flow engineer here, okay, that builds teams and that people are jealous of, all right? That's enough fluff.
Thanks
For you, Mike.
No,
but
that's
I do want to hear from you, Mike, maybe what you could be possibly excited about in this kind of system. I mean, would you use this kind of system?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's multifaceted. I think there's different layers. I mean, in one sense, I love the idea of just being able to pursue like a pet project with resources that I've never had before. I look at the opportunity to do something with Joe, so beyond just being just a PM, but to have an engineer that I've worked with for a long time and to be able to do something at a scale that we've never been able to do before as like a 2-guy squad,
Yeah.
And then, beyond that, I work with engineers, a decent team of engineers. By decent, I mean size. There's like 20 engineers-ish. They're fantastic people, but a decent size team. I don't want to say large team, because you compare to something like hundreds and hundreds. We're not that big of an outfit, all right? Big enough that I can see everybody and talk to everybody in one call. And I think some of them would be thrilled to try something like this, and some of them would hate it with every fiber of their being. And that excites me. I would love to have a conversation about a tool like this with them, and I'd love to try a tool like this with the ones who want to play ball. So those are kind of like the different levels. And overall, I mean, it's cliche, but I see it as a potential multiplier. I like the thought that I'm not trying to replace myself or replace people. I'm taking myself and I'm taking other people to a new level that we've never been able to go to before. And that's what gets me excited.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. And so the whole promise of the Automaker app was the idea of this Kanban board, right? And being able to kind of direct a team like you would as a project manager, and yeah, creating these tickets yourselves. I just took it a step back and I was like, I'm going to create a project manager agent and give them all the tools to do this, right? So
The decomposer.
I just say, yeah, the Dexter agent. I see, so basically all this stuff is still accessible to you. You could come in and actually add features through the board, like and it's just a signal essentially, right? And then they can pull it in as needed. You can actually set up the auto here. So there's full manual functionality, and there's again, why I'm excited for other people to get into is there's just so many ways that, I mean, I don't even know this full app fully, right? I don't know what our team made and their team made in some places, right? So I'm still learning as it goes. So it's going to be fun to kind of explore together with the community and just see
like
where
the idea
people
of
use it.
something that I think I've always struggled to do well is to get like a good successful sprint planning and then fulfill the plan at the end of it. I've done tons of sprint planning that felt great and did not achieve completing the sprint. I've also had plenty of success and things that I'm extremely proud of, not, necessarily like because we achieved exactly what we planned to do. It's because, ultimately we got where we had to get to. But man, would I love to see a plan come to fruition in the way it was originally planned more often and in the right size little chunks. And I'm seeing something like, if I were to engage with a system like this, it's like, okay, how would I want it to work? Let's say I'm starting with a backlog of signals, like just a lot of stuff, a lot of input from everywhere that really results in this kind of like convoluted, messy backlog. And I want to decide what to build next. Is it best for me to say like, okay, agents, go just pick the next best thing out of the huge pile and go build that, and you don't ask me? I like the idea of gates. I like the idea of input, but I also don't want to be asked every task like, hey boss, can I do this thing next? Hey boss, can I do this thing next? So that's too much of an extreme in the other direction. I almost like the idea of being approached with like a sprint proposal, like, hey boss, getting close to next week, wanted to talk about what we've done this week and what we think might be the best thing for us to tackle next week, and here's kind of our sprint plan. And me be able to look over the sprint plan and be like, wow, that looks like a fantastic milestone to get to by the end of next week. Let's do it. Or, like a wonderful CEO makes, demands and say, well, I was really hoping we'd get to such and such next week. How can we do that? And then let them think for a second, be like, okay, new plan. We cut some scope here, but we think we can achieve your goals by next week if we go this route. What do you think of that? And I'd be like, let's do that. Let's try that. And I have a feeling that the agents would work pretty hard to actually stay on track and achieve the goals and follow the plan a little better, than I guess a team of humans who are more easily distractible can be. That's kind of my whimsical.
Yeah, they can't. I mean, it really comes down to, I don't know, we're about at time here, but yeah, I mean, it really comes down to just.
I know. I didn't mean to provoke any kind of large response, but I like to drop the whimsical, like, ooh, this is what I see as something fun. But by all means, Josh,
I think this is a good closing piece, so we can get into it more when you're back for your trip and stuff like that. But I mean, really, the whole reason my methodology works is the same reason why good teams function, is because they have all their specs in place, they have all their guardrails, and they have reliable systems to ensure that those tools don't create bad output, right? And so as long as you have those in place, and then you have the good signals along with proper context and outputs for those systems, then you can just let it work, right? If you have a broken tool in your automation, then you just have a broken automation. So fix your tools, people, and then the automations will follow.
Josh, thank you for coming back again, for talking to us about your plans for launch. Good luck on the launch, and congrats on the launch. It's been really exciting seeing this come together and watching you build it faster.